Among my recent fun baseball purchases is this cute guy in my hand, the adorable plush Mariner Moose.
Mariner Moose. Why Mariner Moose, babe? You're not a Mariners fan.
Well, because among all the current mascots, he's certainly one of the cutest. He is also, more importantly, incredibly low on the creepy mascot factor. Fun fact, because of the popularity of the San Diego chicken back in the day, and we'll be discussing him today, Seattle had a mascot competition in 1979. This guy wasn't around yet, but the winner was Spacey the Needle, which if you go back and see, it was basically a guy on stilts, but his head was a mock-up of the Seattle Space Needle. It was really creepy, high on the creepy factor.
Yes, definitely.
And mobility was an issue with this guy on stilts.
You think?
So he didn't work out too much. For a while, actually, they had the San Diego Chicken as Seattle's mascot. But happily, in 1990, they settled on this cutie.
I can't deny he is definitely cute. But today we're focusing on the OG mascots and some of the earlier ones that we're going to discuss. So listeners, just to know, don't be sad if we don't bring up your favorite mascot in this episode. We're going to have a bunch of fast pitches on ones that all around the MLB.
Well, since we're focusing on those OG mascots, I actually saw a Mr. Met bobblehead the other day online, and I was thinking of picking one up to keep this
No.
guy company.
Wait, no. Well, but you're not even a Mets fan. All right. Do they even speak the same language? I mean, a Met bobblehead and a moose.
There's really only one way to find out.
No,
But
you don't. You don't need more knickknacks.
It was $100, so I am not going to buy it. But it was pretty cute.
I'm sure. This is like your bat collection. I think I brought this up in a past episode. That listener, Jerry, every year after the World Series, almost every year, buys a Louisville Slugger bat that has the score, right, of the team.
I mean, they're really works of art, not just sporting equipment.
They are.
They're in the team colors. They've got the scores engraved. And I broke the trend this year. I really didn't need a third Dodgers bat.
But we have like 10 of these things, and they're all sitting in the top of the closet. So, and none are the Yankees.
Well, I'd like to hang them up. I mean, maybe if you give me a room, like maybe the living room or maybe the kitchen.
Maybe the bathroom. Hey, let's start this episode.
Hello, and welcome to Fungos and Fastballs, the podcast of baseball history and trivia. I'm your host, Jerry Dines. Let's jump into today's episode. Well, today, listeners, we discuss a feature of the baseball fan experience, the mascot. Now, growing up a Yankees fan, that was not a huge factor in my fandom. The Yankees are only one of 3 major league teams without an official mascot, the other 2 being the Dodgers and the Angels. The Dodgers have never had a mascot. Brooke, out of all these things, you'd think that the Angels could have a pretty cool mascot.
I mean, it's a giveaway. It's in their name. I mean, and someone running around with a big halo on their head.
Wings, halo. I think it would be a pretty good addition.
I agree.
Maybe a little sacrilegious. Do you know the history behind the term mascot?
Actually, I do. It started in the French with the word mascotte, and it was meaning a lucky charm. And then the English eventually turned it into mascot. And at the beginning, it was talking about sort of a lucky charm, an inanimate object. Like, boats put those busty women on the front of them.
Right.
But after a little while, it became known for a living and costumed figure. And that is the mascot that we know today. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah. That was a long answer for what was really a rhetorical question.
That was a rhetorical.
But
I just realized that.
I appreciated the history.
Sorry.
Well, before we get into some of the history of the mascots, listeners, we're going to have a moment of fun. You might have to do a Google search for this, but there are 27 official mascots. I mentioned 3 teams don't have them. And I've given Brooke a sheet with photos of those mascots.
Yep.
And Brooke, I mean, what do you think? Do you have some that you like or coolest, creepiest, maybe?
There are some interesting mascots out there. The one that I'm going to bring up is Tampa Bay's, Raymond.
Raymond, yeah.
The sea dog.
The sea dog. He's a sea dog.
He's a sea dog.
He's not my favorite either.
I know.
He might be a nice guy, but he's with the bushy mustache and hair.
But
a little creepy.
As a stuffed animal, I bet he's really soft and plush. but seeing him in person, he could be his a one-man horror movie.
Well, there are. I mean, like Spacey the Needle, if you ever see pictures of it. I mean, there are some creepy mascots a
Yeah.
little bit. I mean, you could have nightmares about Raymond. I think that Ace, the Blue Jays mascot, his head is okay,
Yeah.
but it's like on a regular man's body. And so that's weird.
There are a little
And
too many out there that you just don't know what they are, but I'm guess I'm too
Yeah.
old. Kids love them.
well, Slugger the Royal would be okay, but he's a lion. But then it
That
continues his
crown
head
is really
instead of
weird.
just wearing a crown. His
Yeah.
head continues in crown, and that's a
It's
little
a little
strange.
off.
But of course, I love Mariner Moose, as I mentioned
Yep.
earlier. I love Dinger, the
You
dinosaur of the
do. When
Rockies.
we were in Colorado, you almost bought one.
Yeah, I almost did. Do you have any other favorites?
Uh, let's see. I definitely love the Philly Phanatic.
Yeah.
It was weird as he looks. He's hilarious. And when we were in Texas Orbit, oh my God, any mascot that's really going to pull some shenanigans makes me laugh.
Well, maybe we'll hear your Orbit story later.
Maybe.
Well, now, as I mentioned, I did not grow up with a mascot for my team, the Yankees, but caveat there, the Yankees actually did attempt to introduce a mascot. And this was in 1979. They introduced Dandy. The name comes from Yankee Doodle Dandy, and it was created by the same company as the Philly Phanatic. And I'll tell you more about him later. But Brooke may post a picture.
Sure.
Description really doesn't do Dandy justice. He was pinstriped, and he was kind of a bird, but with a big, bushy red mustache, and he kind of resembled Yankees catcher Thurman Munson. And he'll actually be the focus of next week's episode. But Munson tragically died in a plane crash after Dandy's debut, and that contributed, at least in part, to Dandy getting the axe.
Put into retirement.
Put in retirement, yes. A funny story about Dandy's debut. The few weeks before, Yankees owner George Steinbrenner actually commented that mascots had no place in baseball. And this was after the San Diego Chicken had put a hex on Yankees pitcher Ron Guidry, eventually leading to Lou Pranella chase him, throw a glove at him. But it was not great for the marketing department that was gonna release this new mascot a few weeks later. Do you know the story about how what happened with Guidry?
Yeah, well, I heard that Guidry was getting into a taxi at LAX, and they heard a guy saying, "Hey, I'm going to the stadium," and they shared one, and it was the spoilers here, the person inside. And Guidry's wife loves the chicken. And so they said, third inning, come out when I'm coming out to start the inning and put a hex on me. And my wife is going to get the
They
biggest
came up with a little bit.
kick out of that. Yeah. Well, Piniella didn't know about it. And Piniella had just struck out, was not happy. And Guidry's coming out. And here comes the chicken to do the hex thing. And the chicken and Piniella sort of collide into each other, and Piniella just wails on this chicken. Poor guy. It's a funny story.
Pinella's not a fan, and that was the 70s, folks. And even though my team's foray into mascots a little blur, I don't really remember it from when I was a boy, but I certainly remember some mascots, like indeed the San Diego Chicken. Do you remember the chicken?
You know, I think I was about 5 years old, so probably not. But of course, I looked him up on YouTube.
On YouTube.
Hilarious.
Great videos.
Hilarious.
He was all over the place in the 1970s. He appeared with President Gerald Ford, meeting Ronald Reagan. It all started in 1974 when Ted Gianolis, a student at San Diego State, donned the suit for a KGB FM radio promotion at the San Diego Zoo. And he thought maybe he could get free access to the Padre game. So he approached the team and thought, hey, I'll joke with players, perform antics. It wound up doubling the attendance that summer. He would even appear in McDonald's commercials with Ronald McDonald's.
Why?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Padres at that time were owned by Ray Kroc, who owned McDonald's.
Makes sense.
And so he actually owned the Padres from 1974 until he passed in 84. So a little cross promotion there. Well, because the chicken was so ubiquitous, I would have guessed, actually, looking back, that he was the first mascot. But nope. In fact, he's not even the official mascot of the Padres. That would be the swinging friar, which just really sounds wrong.
I know he's swinging a bat, but it's left out there because when you see him, he never has a bat in his hands. So what's he
Sometimes he does,
swinging?
but yeah, swinging friar is a weird name these days, and he's a bit eerie looking. He's got the whole ball tonsure, and kind of just a creepy, happy look.
Tonsure. That's fun to say.
Tonsure,
Everyone,
yes.
you've learned a new word today.
Yeah, I'm bald, but I don't have a tonsure.
Well, if you grew it back in, you
if
might.
you grow, maybe. I don't think the front. The first official Major League mascot was Mr. Met, who was around when Shea Stadium opened in 1964, although he actually appeared even earlier at the Polo Grounds as part of the Mets publications as they were playing there.
Polo Grounds.
I know, the Polo Grounds.
The Polo Grounds. I'm going to put this on my board and 6 degrees of fungos and
yeah,
fastballs.
the episode of Polo Grounds. See, and the Mets playing there. It all connects.
Coming
the singularity
up this week.
of trivia.
Coming up this week, everybody. Next episode, actually.
Now, we are talking official dress-up costume mascots. There were unofficial mascots even back to 1912. The Cleveland Naps, who are now the Cleveland Guardians, had a bull terrier mascot named Larry. He would chase fly balls, entertain the crowds. He even got to meet President Woodrow Wilson in 1914. He chased a squirrel across the White House lawn. And the Cubs had a guy, again, look it up or we'll try and post it, a really scary-looking polar bear in 1908 as kind of a mascot, but he did not have a name and was not intended to be a permanent fixture. So let's chat about some of these OG mascots. We mentioned Mr. Met, of course. His first head was actually...
It's like paper mache, and it was glossy. It must have weighed 15 pounds. It was really scary.
Yeah, he's a little more durable now. I remember watching a game last year, and he was behind the home plate and sat in the stands, and he broke out a big Spanish fan.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And was fanning himself with it. It was pretty funny. But in addition to Mr. Met, we do have to mention the green Philly Phanatic with its extendable tongue. He debuted in 1978. He was created by Harrison Erickson in New York City. Yes, there are companies and designers that specialize in mascots. And in fact, Harrison Erickson designed Miss Piggy, also Fozzie, right? And actually Dandy.
Yes.
Well, the Philly Phanatic rides around on his ATV, dancing, taunting the opposing teams, rubbing the heads of bald fans, which, again, I'm sensitive to. He'd probably, even if you had a tonsure, he'd rub your head. A little trivia. Apparently, the Philly Phanatic was born in the Galapagos, and his mom is still there, apparently.
Oh. Okay. I'm going to bring her up later. I have also some trivia. Jim Henson was first asked to design the mascot, and he said no. And that's when he turned the team over to Harrison and Erickson and said maybe they would be more interested. So when they first designed him, they were going to charge $45,000 for his design and the license to fully own him. And the Phillies were like, I don't know about this thing. It's a little creepy looking. And so for the first couple of years, they leased the Philly Phanatic. And the fans, of course, loved him. So they finally said, all right, let's buy the full rights for him. And the agency charged them $500,000.
Charged them, yeah.
$500,000.
They should have jumped in early.
I know.
Should have taken that good deal.
Right.
Well, the actions of mascots can definitely, as we mentioned with Lou Piniella, cause some dramatic reactions, like when Dodgers manager Tommy Lasorda assaulted the Phanatic after the Phanatic stomped on a dummy that was wearing Lasorda's jersey.
I think I'm going to be able to post that one. It's something else. That's why probably the Dodgers didn't have a mascot. They were too scared to put one out with him.
Yeah, although the Angels and the Yankees have actually tried mascots briefly, the Dodgers have never tried a mascot. Maybe the mascot would be too quick. It's dodging away. Dun-dun-dunch. So, Brooke, we saw Orbit, another mascot, the Houston Astros mascot at the Astros game to taunt the Yankees. He kind of decimated a New York City pizza, didn't he?
He did.
What happened?
Right in front of the dugout. We were sitting on that side. He brought a New York pizza out and just had 10 cans of pineapple and 2 bottles of ranch
Ranch
dressing
dressing.
and just poured it all over that pizza. It was the fans loved it. The fans
The
loved it.
fans loved it. But come on, pineapple on pizza?
I mean, come on, Orbit. Where are you from? Texas?
I love Southpaw, the Chicago White Sox mascot. He's not only a lefty, but it also refers his name to the south side of Chicago, where the White Sox are. And if you've ever been to a Washington Nationals game since 2006, in the middle of the fourth inning, there's a president's race where the 4 presidents on Mount Rushmore, Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, and Teddy Roosevelt.
Look at you.
They history. They race around the park. Now, over a decade ago, they added some presidents. They added Taft, Calvin Coolidge, Herbert Hoover. Very odd choices, especially Hoover, who was president during the Depression. I mean, like, why not Ike, right? Put Eisenhower on there. He was a general. So since 2017, they're back to the core 4, and race stats actually can be found online. Early on, there was a whole thing because poor Teddy Roosevelt could not win a race. There was even a movement among fans, let Teddy win, signs. And finally, in 2012, Teddy did start winning. And though he had another winless season in 2017, poor Teddy. Do you know who has the most wins?
Go ahead and tell me.
I think it's George. I think George.
Yeah, I think so too.
Right.
I think so too. I have a post of Teddy winning.
No, maybe it's Abe. I wonder
Okay.
if it's Abe. 376 to George's 324.
You might.
I think it's Abraham Lincoln.
I'll have to post it and
the great emancipator.
I'll make sure this
Very
gets
fleet
updated.
of foot.
Did you know that when they're running, they run to Tom Petty's song "Running Down a Dream," and when they leave after the run, they leave to the '80s classic "I Ran" by Flock of Seagulls.
Oh, that's a great song.
I don't know if that's still going on. That's what I noticed online.
Well, yeah, you do have to post something about the race and maybe even about Teddy winning.
Yeah, I don't know how they run with those big heads. They always look like they're going to fall over at some time.
Well, now, folks, you know more about the president's race than you ever wanted to know.
Exactly.
Now, I have to say I miss Youppi. Youppi was the mascot of the Montreal Expos, whose hat I'm wearing here today.
Thus the hat.
Before they relocated to Washington, D.C., and of course became the Washington Nationals of today. But a French mascot, which was Youppi, would not have worked out too well in our nation's capital. So now they have Screech, the eagle, the bald eagle. But don't cry for Youppi, the orange furry creature who's much better looking than Gritty
That's true.
the NHL. He was actually adopted by the Montreal Canadiens of the National Hockey League, and now he's their official mascot, and he's the first North American mascot to switch to another sports leagues.
Wow, there you go.
So, yeah, Youppi. Youppi also, by the way, was the first mascot ejected from a Major League Baseball game when, you guessed it, Tommy Lasorda complained to the umps about his antics on the visiting Dodgers roof, a dugout roof.
You know, with these videos, I can't tell. I know Lasorda's serious about this, but he's so over the top complaining to these mascots. You wonder if he has some background hidden thing with this stuffed animal at one point at his life. They just pick on him all the time.
Yeah, it was pretty cute. Youppi had a nightshirt on and a nightcap.
Yep.
And brought a pillow and was lying across the Dodgers dugout, and they just
who else would have cared? But Lasorda just did not.
He was not happy. Well, Mr. Met, some other trivia. Mr. Met is the only mascot with a wife, Mrs. Met, or her name is Jan. Mrs. Met really broke barriers there. The first female mascot in Major League Baseball history.
You know, I'm going to jump in here because, as we know, the MLB is very testosterone slanted. So I feel like I need to represent a little bit of the ladies.
Many of the mascots are men, yes, or male creatures.
So they identify as a he.
Right.
You mentioned Mrs. Met, Jan, and we also have up in Boston, there's Tessie, the green monster. She's Wally's sister. And you mentioned Philly Phanatic. That is the Phanatic's mom, who occasionally visits from the Galapagos Islands. She's pretty funny. She has a little pocketbook and this little skirt she wears. We also have Rosie Red from Cincinnati.
Right.
Now, she's just a friend to Mr. Red and Gapper.
Yeah, they're two mascots.
They're
right?
just hangout friends. And there's one more, not overly official, but Jalapeno Hannah, and she's part of the Pirates pierogi race up in Pittsburgh. That's a lot of P's up there.
That's very alliterative. Yeah.
And that's it.
Competing with the president's
Right,
race.
yeah. Some have come and gone. So I guess the mascot gig is really for the men. I have a cute story about Mrs. Met.
We love Mrs. Met. Should we get a Mrs. Met bobblehead to keep Mariner Moose company?
I'd hope to be keeping Mr. Met company.
I know Mr. Met might get, suspicious.
They were married for 5 years, and then the Mets dropped both of them in the 80s. He came back in 94, but no Mrs. Met. And rumors were out there. What happened to Mrs. Met? Did they get divorced? Did she pass away? What happened to Mrs. Met? Well, oddly, they both showed up in a Sports Center commercial, and they were in a minivan with their big heads on. I don't know how they did this. And Mr. Met's driving and Mrs. Met sitting there, and they have 3 kids in the back. And she says to him, I can't believe they bumped you again. And she looks at him and said, maybe I should have married the San Diego chicken. So her official return did come back in 2003 when a senior Mets official said, well, she had been out raising her children, and she was also a party planner. But her kids are gone now, empty nest, and she is back.
It's good to see family is important for Mrs. Met. And we should have more female mascots or maybe partners or spouses. Yeah, maybe the swinging friar needs a woman.
Isn't that not allowed?
I think that's not allowed. That's as sacrilegious as a potential Angels
Angel mascot.
Well, with 27 official mascots, not to mention unofficial ones and retired mascots, we could really go on all day. But we don't want to do that. And perhaps, as Brooke said earlier, some more mascots will appear as first pitches in future episodes. Hey, breaking news. We're going to interrupt our regularly scheduled podcast for exciting stuff. Well, maybe not exciting stuff. We actually have meant to do a segment like this for a little while ago, where I have my good friend Edwin Nolan and baseball guru over probably every other Monday to talk about the state of the current league. And on this current mascots episode, we really didn't schedule a spot, so that's on us. But that's why I said we're going to break in. And I'm happy to have Edwin here. Edwin Nolan, hello.
Hey, everybody.
And we are sharing a beer and talking about baseball. And Edwin, now we are, over 2 weeks into the season. And I think going into the season, the exciting topic was ABS. So, you got any thoughts of the old automated ball strike system that's in place now? Like it, hate it, hot take?
Yeah, very interesting, because I did read that averages were lower than normal. But, I started off hating it, and then I kind of liked it. I think I'm finally going to settle somewhere in the middle. I think it definitely has its place. And yeah, I did see where Ohtani accidentally challenged one by adjusting his cap.
Adjusting his helmet?
One that was very outside, or I guess very high. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, but, fans are certainly coming out with their opinion.
I'm an old-fashioned baseball guy, so when there are changes in the game, I'm usually against it. I do like some things. I love the pitch clock, for example. Not a big fan, as many people are, maybe of the ghost runner in extra innings, but I'm kind of liking this. I like the fact that you get 2. Of course, if you for fans who, if you haven't been paying attention, if you are correct, you keep getting 2. If you are incorrect, you lose that 2, and you only have 2 seconds to protest it by tapping your hat, and only catchers and pitchers and batters can challenge. So nothing from the dugout. So I kind of like that. And you're right about percentages. I think they were mentioning it today on the game. They said pitchers and hitters, and pitchers hardly ever do it. Pitchers are only like 2% of challenges so far. But pitchers and hitters have been about 47%. Catchers higher, 63%, which makes a lot of sense. That they are correct.
They are
Yes, that they are accurate. There's Brooke. Hey, she's still here, guys. You may be wondering where Brooke is. So What do you think of the strategy of the allowing two and when to use it?
I love the use to, and if you win, you can continue to use. You continue to save that challenge, so you can use basically, infinity challenges if you are always
If
right.
you're always right.
The catcher definitely has a better odds of getting it because he's the one framing. He knows better than anybody where this cross the strike zone. I worry. The only worry I have is if teams start strategically trying to do it later in the game after allowing an ump to develop his strike zone, and then wait until the ninth inning when a ball that has been a strike all game long because the ump has established his strike zone for the game, and then they challenge it because technically by the letter of the law it's a ball. And so I do worry that will offend the norms of baseball. But again, that's probably just a learning curve that we're going to have to get over.
Yeah. I mean, in theory, you get to load them up on the end of the game. If you haven't used them, why not? I definitely think certain players should be allowed, and others should get the red light. Emotional players, like on my Yankees, Jazz Chisholm, he really shouldn't be allowed to. He thinks everything is a ball. So hey, no.
It seems like your buddy Aaron Judge is a little gun shy to use it.
I know, and Aaron Judge has been, jobbed out of a lot of calls there. Low calls down below his knees, with his height, and yeah, he has not used it that much. So, we definitely wanted to address that. That was the biggest thing going into the season. Again, we're now a little over 2 weeks in, and let's go around the horn and just talk about it. I want to start, Edwin. The teams going in you thought were favorites, and Edwin always cautious me. We go back and forth. Comes always like, hey, 5 games up then. He's like, oh, it's too early. It's only April. It's only May. And the old phrase goes, of course, you're not going to win a championship in May or April, but you can certainly lose it. So, but that in mind, that caveat, Edwin, the teams you thought would really do well, are they all doing well in your eyes?
No.
They're not. You're right.
I think the NL Central in particular is going to be very interesting. Cubs at the back. Of course, baseball's so long, nothing matters. But yeah, I think, the Brewers started out hot. They've kind of settled there in the middle, and the Pirates, sitting at the top of the division as of today. But, things are going to change with today's games and moving forward. It's always kind of coming and going. The Marlins were a surprise. They're doing better than I thought they were going to do.
I got to see the Marlins-Yankees series, and that's a scrappy team. I mean, young too. I like a lot of the players on there. And you're right. I mean, the Pirates. I mean, of course we know Paul Skeens and their new addition, Connor Griffin. What is he? 19?
Yeah.
And
handsomely paid already.
9 years, $140 million. This seems to be something the teams are venturing out there. The Red Sox tied up Roman Anthony. You got Jackson Chourio of the Brewers. I mean, smart move with these young players. You're paying them a lot of money at a young age.
Yeah, it's the opposite approach of years gone by where they waited until after, midsummer so they could get the extra year for arbitration time periods and things like that, so they can take advantage of the young studs coming up as much as possible on that, very minimal salary. But yeah, who knows? It could work out well.
Yeah. I mean, taking a chance. You mentioned some teams underperforming. The Yanks were doing lights out, and as of today, they just lost their 5th in a row. So, but that division is going to be interesting. The AL East, everyone's kind of in the mix. I don't know what's going on with the Mariners. The Mariners are starting out real slow.
Hey, you're talking to a guy that drafted Cal Raleigh in the first round for fantasy baseball, so not super happy.
World Baseball Classic hangover, maybe, huh? I don't know. I don't know if that bears off. I know Bryce Harper. I know Cal Raleigh. Even Judge have been a little slow to get going. But I hope it's not blamed on the WBC because I love the WBC this year.
Yeah, no, that was a great. I enjoyed the history on that episode, but
that's right. Our episode on the world. Oh, a plug by Edwin on our episode
got
of the
me
World
ready to
Baseball
go.
Classic. What about teams you're surprised about?
I mentioned the Cubs. They're stacked and currently going on a little bit of a difficult slide there. But let's see, other teams that were the Orioles. They were, they're tied for the top of the division, AL, for the AL
East, yeah. The Athletics, 8-7.
Yeah.
The cityless Athletics, currently in Sacramento, but just called the plain Athletics. We were in Rawlings and in St. Louis, the Rawlings experience, and the woman was talking about the new City Connect jerseys, which have come out. Some of them are interesting, and she said there's only 2 teams that don't have City Connects. One is the Yankees, and always traditionalists, and the other is the Athletics because they don't quite have a city yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I usually like the alternate uniforms. This year's City Connect jerseys, uniforms, they're fine.
Yeah. Yeah. How about I like kind of Baltimore with the Be More?
That seems like the one I like the least.
The least, yeah.
But I
it's
don't
weird.
know if it has.
Yeah. The other ones are not bad. The Cincinnati one looks great.
Atlanta, I like the powder blues.
Yeah. Yeah. So. And what else? What else you want to talk about? What else? Some early thoughts about this young season.
What are your thoughts about CB, our favorite umpire, now that Angel Hernandez is gone? CB Buckner.
I know he got hit. He got hit with that one jab. He seemed a little chippy when he was. They challenged him so many times in that one game, and that is a problem potentially with the ABS. I mean, umps kind of carrying grudges towards other aspects of the game. Did you see the Ichiro statue?
I did. Poor Ichiro.
So for those who haven't seen it, of course, they unveiled the Ichiro statue in Seattle there and outside of T-Mobile Park. And as they were pulling the tarp over the bat of the statue bent, Ken Griffey was there. He joked around with Ichiro, said, "I didn't do that. I didn't do that." And I think Ichiro took it well. Did you hear who he blamed?
No.
He blamed Mariano Rivera. He said, "Oh, Mariano Rivera did that." And what else? What else?
I don't know. Do you have any surprise teams that haven't been mentioned yet?
I mean, well, first of all, I wish I was surprised by the Dodgers, falling out, but they're just unstoppable. But yeah, I'm looking at the list here. I mean, Cleveland, I kind of expected to do well. Again, the fact that the Athletics and the Rangers are up top and Seattle is Houston is down below. Houston maybe not surprising me, aging team and whatnot, but yeah. And I I always root for Pittsburgh. I was a big Pittsburgh fan in the 1970s, and they haven't had it they haven't had a break in a little while. And some fights.
Oh yeah.
Or
at least one big one.
At least one big one. Yeah. What happened with it? Did you see it?
I did. So I really enjoyed the manager that just bull rushed the pitcher.
And the Angels
took him down.
Braves.
Yeah. So the Braves manager, or one of the managers, I don't even remember who it was. But he dropped down low, gotten a good stance, good flattened out stance, and took him down, rushed him, took him to the ground, and I guess neutralized the
Yeah, Jorge Soler of the Angels got a very high pitch by Ronaldo Lopez, and both of them got ejected. And then over in over at the Red Sox, Wilson Contreras took a little umbrage at the Brewers too, and he's gotten thrown at by the Brewers probably 23, 24 times or something over his career. And he didn't get fined, to my knowledge, by saying that he was going to take him out if that happened again. He was going to take someone out. So a little bounty. So some things to watch as the season goes.
Did you see him sliding into second a little bit, heels up?
It was very old school with the cleats up, and he tore the second baseman's uniform there. Yeah. And people aren't used to that anymore. I don't think fielders are used to taking cleats up slides at all anymore. So Uh, well, Edwin, thanks for coming on over. We're enjoying our beer here. This is fun. Again, it's a podcast of baseball history and trivia, but this is history being made. And so that's why we wanted to cover the league today a little bit. And now back to our regularly scheduled podcast. Well, fun time today. I'd like to thank always Brooke.
You're welcome.
My producer and wife. And shout out especially to my cousin Jeffrey, who works down at the Parks Department, who assured me he'll be listening. We hope you'll keep listening. And don't forget to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform. Heading back to the locker room, this is Jerry Dines in Fungos and Fastballs.